Thank you for watching NMH at 1, where we highlight the news-making headlines in the land of the brave and beyond, ranging from current affairs, community stories, sports, economics, and sports. I am Aina Kweyo, and here are the news-making headlines. Media critical in selling Namibia as an investment destination, says NIPDB. Now, Namibia to capitalize on relationship with Angola to advance oil and gas industry. Zimbabwe plans to criminalize hiring of health workers by other countries. World economy faces weakest growth since 1990. The High Court in Windhoek this week ruled that the Ministry of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security must pay 1,000 Namibian dollars in damages to a prisoner of the Hardap Correctional Facility. This follows a lawsuit brought by the prisoner Alexandra Daniel, against the ministry and the Namibian Correctional Services. Initially, he demanded 300,000 Namibian dollars because members of the NCS destroyed his belonging, which is in violation of his constitutional rights. Remember to engage with these stories on our social media platforms throughout the entire broadcast. Visual news coming up after the break.
Take a load off and tune into another episode of Brave Namibia as we take a look at both ordinary and extraordinary Namibians. Brave Namibia is broadcasted on NTV Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. and oneup2.com, as well as broadcasted on the following Facebook platforms on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Republican, Algemeine Titan, Namibian Sun, and all Namibia Media Holdings pages. For more information, contact the Brave team at brave@synergy.com.na. Brave Namibia, for the ordinary and extraordinary Namibians.
In visual news this afternoon, Mines Minister Tom Alwendo says Namibia will leverage off its relationship with Angola to benefit to advance the oil and gas industry following the discovery of two potentially high-yielding oil resources. Alwendo's counterpart, Diamintro Azevedo.
We are not only neighbors, but we are probably special neighbors, such that, as you know, for example, with our northern border, you have people who are based in Namibians in Angola. So we have got that kind of relationship. But we have also said, because of that relationship, we should probably then make good use of that relationship in terms of our economic development, such that we can learn lessons from each other, and probably also collaborate in terms of some of the things that we can do together. In this specific instance, as you know, with the oil discovery that was made here last year, you know that Angola has been an oil-producing country for many more years. And therefore it makes sense to say, as a country that is about to become an oil-producing country, it makes sense that actually we collaborate better with Angola.
Namibia Investment Promotion and Development Board CEO Nangola Oanja stated that the media plays a critical role in selling Namibia as an investment destination and should play its part in promoting the country and, where need be, call out the NIPDB for its failure to effectively sell the country to investors. She made these remarks as the marketing agency celebrates its first 500-day anniversary.
Namibia is our product, Namibia is why we are here, and Namibia is who and what we want to deliver. And we want to make sure that the media partner with us in making sure that this product called Namibia gets its fair share in the market, the international market, the local market, and so forth. And yes, we want you to make sure that any defect of our product is pointed out so that we can make sure that we correct that defect. So if there is anything of our product, Namibia, that need to be corrected so that it's more acceptable to the consumers, then we need to make sure that we correct that. And many times we talk about the ease of doing business, the cost of doing business, the competitiveness, the policy landscape, and so forth.
The world economy faces the weakest growth since 1990, and this is according to the International Monetary Fund. An update on this story follows in the economic news segment after the break.
The Regional Review brings you news, views, and interviews from NMH correspondents from across the country. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact regional@synergy.com.na.
The global economy is set to grow at roughly 3% over the next 5 years, and the slowest pace since 1990. The head of the International Monetary Fund said Kristalina Georgieva said the path ahead was rough and foggy and warned that cooperation to address problems was becoming more difficult. She spoke in Washington ahead of the IMF's annual meeting. In her remarks, she called for more help for low-income countries. For the weakest members of our global family, additional support from wealthier countries is essential, she said, calling for countries to boost funds for the IMF, which makes low-cost loans to countries in need. The organization is bracing for a wave of requests for help or debt restructuring as the shock from COVID-19 crisis, the war in Ukraine, and the soaring cost of living continue to reverberate. Now, last year, global growth dropped almost half to 3.4% following the post-pandemic surge in 2021. That was below a 3.8% average growth of the last 2 decades. The slowdown has continued this year despite strong job markets in countries such as the US. The IMF said it expected growth to dip below 3% in 2023, with India and China accounting for more than half of the growth. We'll take a look at our economic indicators shortly. $1 will cost 18 Namibian dollars and 22 cents, while 1 British pound translates to 22 Namibian dollars and 68 cents. No movement on the Namibia Stock Exchange as prices remain unchanged. Overall index has closed 1.25% higher than the previous closing price, while stock prices remain unchanged. Copper and Brent crude oil both increased in price, while gold prices have dropped by 0.44%. The United Nations has highlighted alleged victimization of former President Ian Khama as an example of repression of people's rights in Botswana's democracy under threat. We get into the UN review after the break.
Namibia's hospitality is as vibrant as its people. Join the What's Cooking team as they travel the country cooking, chatting, and celebrating local personalities and the joy of food. If you think you have a standout offering, whether it's a restaurant, bar, pop-up event, or braai stand, get in touch with the What's Cooking team at cooking@synergy.com.na, and we will be there to show the world what's cooking. Programs air every Friday at 4 p.m. on all the NMH Facebook platforms, as well as on NTV, DSTV channel 285, and GoTV channel 94 at 9 p.m.
The alleged victimization of former President of Botswana Ian Khama, South African businesswoman Bridget Motsepe-Radebe, and the former Botswana intelligence officer Velemina Maswabi was raised during the Universal Periodic Review for Botswana as standout examples of repression of people's liberty in one of Southern Africa's democracies. On Monday, African Court on Human and People Rights Judge Damisa Ntembeza and Charlie Blair, a human rights lawyer in Geneva, briefed diplomats on the key rule of law concern emanating from State House in Gaborone. They said Botswana was experiencing a backsliding on civil and political rights, leading to anti-democratic repression and rising tides of political prosecution and violence. Ntembeza said President Mokgweetsi Masisi was using threats and lawfare to harass the opposition and media ahead of the presidential elections due next year. He added an issue worth taking seriously was Masisi's links with the South African civic society group AfriForum, which he said was pushing a racist apartheid policy. Now, in our next story, some healthcare workers who left for the UK for greener pastures are stranded in Ireland because the Zimbabwean government has stopped issuing clearance letters allowing them to work abroad. This is Zimbabwe's Vice President and Health Minister Constantino Chiwenga said there was plans to criminalize the hiring of Zimbabwean nurses. The people are dying in hospitals because there are no nurses and doctors. If one deliberately recruits and makes the country suffer, that's a crime against humanity, Chiwenga added when addressing a gathering in Harare on Wednesday. In December 2021, he said there were plans to approach the UN to seek reparations for the brain drain in the health sector. Chiwenga claimed it cost around 6.3 million rand to train a doctor in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe had emerged as the biggest African contributor to the UK health sector, according to figures from the British Home Office. Government statistics revealed since February 2021, an estimated 4,000 nurses left Zimbabwe. From that, 1,800 are said to have left last year. Now, moving on to our next story. 10 members of the Central African Armed Forces who spent several months in captivity arrived Wednesday at Bangui Mpoko Airport. They were welcomed by the Minister and Chief of Staff. According to officials, 9 others will soon be freed. The last one was injured and is undergoing treatment at the Red Cross. He will be sent to the capital of the Central African Republic once he recovers. The troops were seized in a raid in Vakaga region on the 14th of February by a group called the Coalition of Patriots for Change. Their abduction took place after heavy fighting in the northern village of Sisikede between the governmental forces and the rebels. The government had said that the battle inflicted considerable losses on its forces. Negotiations between the government, the CPC, and the International Committee of Red Cross and the United Nations peacekeeping mission in the country reportedly enabled this release. We take a look at our international news shortly. Stay with us.
Ohole So Nice is an entertainment show brought to you by the youth for the youth. This is a dating show that allows individuals to participate and be their own true selves. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact zone@synergy.com.na.
In international news this afternoon, Israel's military hit sites in Lebanon and Gaza earlier on Friday. In retaliation for rockets attacked it blamed on the Islamist group Hamas, as tension following police raids this week on the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem threatened to spiral out of control. Loud blasts rocked different areas of Gaza as Israel said its jet hit 10 targets, including tunnels and weapons manufacturing and development sites of Hamas, which controls the blocked southern coastal strip. At around 4 a.m., the military said it had also struck 3 Hamas infrastructure targets in southern Lebanon, where residents around the area of the Rashid refugee camp near the southern city of Tyre reported 3 loud blasts. 2 Lebanese security sources said the strike hit a small structure on farmland near the area from which the rockets had been launched earlier. A member of the Lebanon's civil defense at the scene on Friday morning said there were no casualties. Now, in our next story, 2 people died and more than 1 million were without power on Thursday after the ice storm hit Canada's 2 most populated provinces ahead of a holiday weekend, bringing freezing, raining and strong winds that toppled trees and weighed down power lines. Just under 1 million people did not have power in Quebec, and about 110,000 in Ontario as of 4 p.m. Now, according to poweroutrage.com, outages combined for both provinces had crossed at least 1.3 million earlier in the day. The 2 provinces account for more than half of Canada's total population of about 39 million. We return with local sports after the break. Stay with us.
Sport Wrap is a daily show focusing on all sport news and current affairs. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact sportwrap@synergy.com.na.
The Namibia Newspaper Cup will be kicking off its 21st edition of the annual event at Otjiwarongo Pereira's Stadium on Friday. The tournament, which will be open to the public, features soccer and netball games from today until the 10th of April. Parents on Friday came to cheer their children on as they participate in netball and soccer games. The Namibia Newspaper Deputy Editor Isaac Hamata, on his part, said the tournament aims to help boys and girls to have an opportunity to enjoy sports and also to identify and develop their talents. Now, moving on to our next story. The two-day national mountain bike race event will see cyclists compete in different race categories, which include under 14 and 18 boys and girls, short course men and women open, under 12 sprung boys, under 14 sub-junior girls, sub-event men and women, veteran men and women, master and grand master men and women, elite men and women, and junior men and women. Namibian cyclists taking part in the elite under 23 and junior race will be vying for the Union Cyclist International points, which are an internationally recognized point system for boosting each cyclist world ranking to determine placement in international events like the Olympics. We take a look at our international sports shortly.
Sunset News is a daily news show focusing on national headlines as well as international news. If you'd like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, please contact sunset@synergy.com.na. Sunset News. Don't end your day without us. Chill Sessions is an entertainment show that brings you the latest hit, fashion, and entertainment news. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact chill@synergy.com.na. Chill Sessions, bringing art and entertainment to the people.
A development fund allocated for Indonesia's Football Association is being frozen by FIFA after the country was stripped as host of this year's Under-20 World Cup. Soccer governing body said on Thursday FIFA barred the Southwest Asian nation from staging the May 20 to June 11 event after the country's football association in the predominantly Muslim country said it had to cancel the draw because the governor of the ball refused to host Israel's team. Last month, protesters marched in the capital Jakarta waving Indonesian and Palestinian flags, demanding that Israel should not be allowed to participate. The removal of the Under-20 event caused anger and dismay among fans and players in the soccer-mad country. Now, the DP World Tour has won its legal battle to be able to suspend the fine LIV golf players who featured in conflicting events without permission after the independent UK-based panel Sports Resolutions found in its favor on Thursday. Members of the DP World Tour, also known as the European Tour, who played in the Saudi-backed LIV Golf Opening Tournament last June, sought a conflicting event exemption, but the request was denied and they received 3 events bans and fines. Now, top-seeded Jessica Pegula of the US beat Romanian 15th-seeded Irina Camila Bengu as the top 4 seeds advanced to the quarterfinals at the Credit One Charleston Open on Thursday. Joining Pegula was number 2 seed Ons Jabeur of Tunisia, the runner-up of Charleston last year, who eased past Carolina 6-3 and 7-5. Number 3 seed Daria of Russia got past America Bernarda Pera, and reigning champion Belinda Bencic of Switzerland, the 4th seed, rallied past America Shelby Rogers. Now, we will be returning with our highlights shortly after the break.
Tourismus Namibia is a weekly tourism show that brings you the latest news in the tourism industry and topics related to that. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact tourismus@synergy.com.na for news and advertising related queries. Tourismus, bring the world to Namibia.
Before we wrap up the show with the highlights, if you do not have any plans for the weekend, here is Michael Kayunde letting us know what's happening on the social scene with the Weekend Gig Guide.
Hello NMH at 1 viewers, my name is Michael Kayunde. I'm back on your TV screens to give you a lowdown of the events that are taking place in and around the country this long weekend. We kickstart with our show Chill Sessions, a show you can catch tonight on Namibian Sun's Facebook page. That is at 1900 hours. That is a show where we get to take you in and around the country, showcasing you the latest music videos that are trending. Moving along with other events you can catch this weekend, you can catch that is the Unam Bash taking place at Unam. Today you can catch performances by the likes of Young Stana from South Africa. Remember the guy that gave us Adiwele is going to be performing at Unam. Moving along with other events you can still check out this weekend. If you are into pop and urban vibes, you can catch that is Neon Dreams. They are performing today at Club Mint for their Sunshine Tour. You can grab their tickets via web tickets. Moving along with other events you can still expect if you are driving to the northeastern part of the country, to Katima specifically, you can catch that is the annual Zambezi Festival taking place from Saturday to Sunday. You can catch performances by local artists as well as artists from South Africa and Botswana. Tickets are also available via web tickets, and the event is taking place at Katima Mlilo Sports Complex. Those are some of the events you can check out this weekend. From me, Michael, until next time, please make sure that you have responsible fun and have a good one. Until then, it's bye-bye.
Let's get into the highlights from today's broadcast. Some health workers who left for the UK for greener pastures are stranded in Ireland because Zimbabwean government has stopped issuing clearance letters allowing them to work abroad. Israel's military hit sites in Lebanon and Gaza earlier on Friday in retaliation for the rocket attacks it blamed on the Islamist group Hamas, as tension following police raids this week in the mosque in Jerusalem threatened to spiral out of control. The DP World Tour has won its legal battle to be able to suspend and fine LIV golf players who featured in conflicting events without permission after the independent UK-based panel of sports resolution found in its favor on Thursday. Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 o'clock to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on the latest news in Namibia, Africa, and the rest of the world, ranging from current affairs, economic news, sports, and international headlines. From all of us here in studio, good day.